Hi, I'm Darby and this is Night Sky, and we're going to show you how to groom, tack, and how we ride. Alright, so how to tie. I always go through or around the post, it really depends. And then I do the 7, 4, twist twice through the door. And then that way it's a slip knot, and in case they go crazy, you pull it, and you know how the drill works. So this is the metal curry, and this gets like really tough mud out. He doesn't have any tough mud, he really just has like some shavings and dust. But if you ever do have like crusty mud, you want to lightly go like that on the way with the hair, as well as brushing, you want to go with the hair. So then that way it doesn't hurt them at all. And I always check underneath to make sure there's nothing hard or any mud or anything, and to make sure that it's all good. So there's nothing really over there. And there is no mud over here. So we're just going to go straight to the brush. With the brush, this is the soft brush. There's usually the hard brush and the soft brush. Right now he only needs the soft brush. And with this one, you just go like that. With the hard brush, you take longer strokes and a little firmer and flick up. But with this, it's short little flicks to get all of this shavings and everything off. For once, I can say I'm actually happy he got dirty, so I can actually groom him pretty well and decently for this video. Hi, dude. You knew what you were doing. Sometimes I get antsy and want to swing around, and that's okay. Just make sure you're out of the way of the butt. Definitely don't want to get kicked. And I always start from the front and go to the back, because if I go to the back and then do the front, it's flicking dust right on the back. So it's like the defeating the purpose kind of thing. All right. And I always make sure in between the legs is definitely good, because we don't want the breast collar to rub against something or the cinch to rub against something and make them sore and not able to work. So now are the hooves, and I always pick the hooves before I ride. I start with the front hoof, and with this I make sure my foot's in between the front too. So then that way if he tries to go like that, it's just not really working, it's rubbing against my thigh instead. And you go along with the V. You avoid the frog, of course, unless there's like a rock. Sometimes a rock could get right there. But you lightly go on the frog if need be, because that's kind of the heart of the hoof. The V is the main thing that you want to be picking out, and the edge part around here. There you go. Hoof. And now with the back hoof, it's a little different. See that little kick? Some horses can be a little agitated with their back hooves or their front hooves, and you just gotta hold on tight and let them know you're boss. And we always try and get the rocks and all the manure and mud out of their hooves to avoid any bacterial infection or any rocks letting it or making them lame. So yeah, that's how you groom a horse. I'm going to go do the other side. Alright, so now it's time to tack, and I'm going to start with the blanket. Some horses can be spooky with the blanket, so if they are, I let them smell it first. He's good. Sometimes he moves though because he doesn't want to work, so today I sense it's going to be one of those days. And when I put it on, I usually do it slow, just, you know, so they don't spook. And I rub it a few times along with the hair to just make sure it fits right. You always want the saddle blanket to be about halfway in the shoulder. So next is the saddle. And I always make sure the side that I'm going to be putting up, all the stuff is up and all that. So, you ready, dude? And sometimes same thing. Some horses can be spooky, so I let them smell it. And today is going to be one of those days. And I mean, sometimes they're going to move with the saddle. I mean, can't really help that, but it's all right. Just do it quick, but not too quick where it spooks them. So now I have to have him move because I cannot see the saddle. And I bring all the stuff down on this side so it doesn't spook him when I like flop it down and everything. And I make sure the saddle blanket and the saddle are even. And whenever I'm behind him, I always stay really close because it's easier to kick and hurt you when you're this far away versus this. It's kind of like stay close to your enemies kind of thing. All right. And whenever I crouch down, I make sure I'm crouching. I'm not going down on my knees because it's a lot slower when you get up that way than when you're just crouching. And in case something happens and they're freaking out, you want to stay crouched and prepared. So when I'm doing the cinch, I put it up through once, up through this, and then up through that one more time. Of course, some people have different ways of tying the cinch. This is just the way that I learned in the Western Airs. I do the 7, 4, up, through the door, voila. And then I get the second cinch, which this is my barrel cinch. A lot of saddles don't typically have these. You just want to keep this one super loose because it's not so it stays on, more as just to give it extra support for barrels and such. And with this, I always do the cinch first before the breast collar. So that way if, God forbid, the horse gets loose while you're tacking, I'd rather the saddle be on with the cinch than with the breast collar and hanging off. And now with breast collars, you put them up through this ring. Mine's a lot longer than I wanted it to be, so I actually have to do it twice. But typically you don't have to with, you know, a normal breast collar, normal horse. But so then I just buckle it like a normal buckle. Take this, clip it down on the cinch down here. I use the first ring because it's a lot. This isn't supposed to be super tight. It's supposed to be like this loose. It's just in case the saddle wants to go back. This holds it on. So, all right. And he's a huge bloater, so I'm just going to tighten it once I'm about to get on when he's not expecting it. So, all right. Next is bridling. Beforehand, my lovely camera woman warmed up the bit, and so he doesn't have a really, really cold piece of metal just going in his mouth all of a sudden. So what I do is I untie, and if I am in an open area or something like that, I'll usually just put this around and not tie it around the neck, because if he does end up breaking loose, I'd rather him get loose than him hurting his neck. So I do it loose enough where if he really breaks free, like wants to get out of here, he can get out of here. But if he's just like moving around and wanting to be a butt, which happens a lot with this cutie, looks are deceiving, he's not able to move. So now it's time for the bridle. I always use the left arm right here holding it. I put my thumb and my other middle finger right on the corners of his mouth. Say open. He opens it up. I make sure the bit is on the top of the tongue. Put the ears through. Position the headband so it's not in his eyes. Fix his forelock because he has to look pretty, right? And make sure the throat latch is on and tight, but also loose enough so it's not choking him. Still kind of want him to stay around. And do this. Now it's time to ride. Let's go ride.